The President, please be seated. The court is now in session. During the first hour of the session, the Chamber continues hearing the testimony of the civil party. Questions continue to be put by counsel for Mr. Kyo Sampan. Before we hand over to counsel for Mr. Kyo Sampan, the Chamber would like Mr. Duch Pari to report on the presence of the parties to the proceedings today. The greffier. Good morning, Mr. President and Your Honors. All parties to the proceedings are present except Mr. Ieng Sari, who is present but in his holding cell downstairs. Mr. Ieng Sari, through his counsels, has requested that he be excused from participating directly in the courtroom for the whole day and be allowed to observe the proceedings from his holding cell. His waiver was already submitted before the Chamber through the greffier. The next witness who will be giving testimony will be TCW 480. This witness is available and awaits call from the Chamber. Thank you, Mr. President. The President, thank you. The Chamber now rules upon the request by Mr. Ieng Sari. The Chamber received the request by Mr. Ieng Sari through his counsels on the 29th of August 2012. In the request or waiver, Mr. Ieng Sari has asked that he be allowed to observe the proceedings from his holding cell for the whole day. Dr. Chiang Ko, who is a doctor on duty at the detention facility and who has examined Mr. Ieng Sari, indicates that Mr. Ieng Sari feels dizzy or fatigue when he moves a lot. He asked that the Chamber allowed him to also observe the proceedings from his holding cell instead of coming to the courtroom. And the Chamber also notes that Mr. Ieng Sari has waived his right to participate directly in the courtroom. And according to the doctor recommendation, the Chamber also notes that Mr. Ieng Sari is mentally able to observe the proceedings, although he has some other physical health concerns. And from there, Mr. Ieng Sari can observe the proceedings and at the same time can communicate with his counsel. The Chamber therefore grants such request. Mr. Ieng Sari is now permitted to observe the proceedings from the holding cell for the whole day. AV booth officers are now instructed to ensure that the AV audio equipment is well connected to the holding cell to allow Mr. Ieng Sari to observe the proceedings from there. Without further ado, we would like now to hand over to counsel for Mr. Kyo Sampan to proceed with their questions to civil party. I am Eun. You may now proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Good morning, Your Honors. Good morning to all those present in this courtroom, and good morning to you, Mr. Civil Party. Sir, I wish to continue on my line of questioning with respect to the testimony that you've provided before this court. I wish now to move on to the following subject. On the 23rd of August, just after 2:15 p.m., you stated that when you arrived in Phnom Penh, you were assigned to the Khmer Soviet hospital. And you were appointed as the student leader during the training program you undertook there. My question for you is, what exactly were your functions as leader of the student body?
Response. I wish to make it clear that I can't recollect the details, but the chief of the class at that time, I was asked to monitor the trainees and to help become a focal person. For example, when students or trainees needed anything, then they should communicate through me to the upper level.
Qui, précisément?
And Mr. M. who exactly appointed you to that position? And who was the intermediary when you had to communicate with the upper echelon?
Response. As far as my recollection serves me well, the head of the school was Mr. Chuan Chun and his colleagues, whom I don't remember the names. So the head of the school was no one else other than Mr. Chuan Chun.
Est-ce que je dois comprendre?
Am I therefore to gather that Mr. Chum Chun appointed you as the leader of the students?
Response. Yes, it is correct.
Répondant à une...
In response to a question put to you by the co-prosecutor, you indicated, and if I'm not mistaken, that there were some 1,000 students who were taking part in that training. My question for you is, why were you chosen specifically among all of those 1,000 students to hold that position?
Response. I was appointed because I was recommended by people from the base, and as a trainee in the session, there were fewer people who could be recognized or trusted as the members or people in the youth league to be appointed that position. At that time, I was a member of the party, and the other were not members, so I was chosen to become the leader of the group.
Je vous remercie.
Thank you for those explanations. You've just indicated that you received a recommendation from the base, and who from the base forwarded the recommendation?
Response. I wish also wish to add that the education that provided to me was not done only at the hospital. I had been given education in the basis, at the base, and for that background, I then was trusted and chosen to become the person leading the group at the hospital.
J'ai bien compris, monsieur.
I understand that, Mr. M. But my question for you is who, please give me the name, who tendered the recommendation that you should be appointed?
Response. At the Khmer Soviet hospital, it was Mr. Chun Chun who appointed me. But people who recommended me from the sector was Ta Ut and Brother Kham.
Je vous remercie.
Thank you. Moving on to the next point, and in reference to your victim's information forms, there are two forms. You talk about the arrest of Madame Leng Sai. First and foremost, allow me to remind you that your form, referenced under D22/ or rather D230/2/4.2.277A, ERN in French is 00822270, ERN in Khmer is 00508424, and the passage continues on the following page. The English ERN pages are 00777625. The passage is on page 14 at the last paragraph. You state, at the end of 1977, during my studies, I saw a cadre who was presumed to be an enemy. This person was called Leng Sai. She was handcuffed, and she was being transported on a truck. This is the first passage I want to show you. I want to show you an additional passage which can be found in the second document, which is in document D22/3963. French ERN pages are 00786-287. English ERN pages 00751868. And ERN Khmer pages 00573980. In this document, you talk about the same event, that is the arrest of Madame Leng Sai, and you say the following. I'll just draw your attention to the fact that I am reading from the French translation. I was an eyewitness to the arrest of the teacher, Madame Leng Sai, who was the spouse of Mr. Tivol. The husband had been accused of being a CIA agent. She was accused of being a KGB agent. This was a particularly traumatizing event. Before she was tossed onto the truck, the couple was stripped of their clothes. And some were beaten until they lost consciousness. These events unfolded at the Soviet hospital in Phnom Penh near the end of 1976. Now, upon reading these two passages, Mr. Emun, my question for you is as follows. As you were a witness to the arrest of Mr. Lang Sai, did you see her husband being arrested at the same time that she was arrested?
The President, Civil Party, could you please hold on, Mr. Co-Prosecutor? You're on your feet. You may now proceed.
Merci, bonjour, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Your Honors. I don't really have an objection to express, but I do believe that we have some issues with translation. The French version of the PV reads that the couple was stripped. The English version does not read, does not reflect the same. I don't believe that counsel should be relying on the French version to be asking her question, whereas she should perhaps consult the original Khmer version of the PV in order to formulate her question. Counsel Guisset, Your Honor, I went to great lengths to indicate to this court that I was reading from the French version. I don't think I was being disingenuous or untruthful in presenting such information to the civil party, and it is up to the civil party to provide clarifications. And I do not believe that it is the place of the co-prosecutor to be interfering in this matter. The civil party is in a position to answer whether yes or no. He can answer my question, and I believe this is incumbent upon the person in the stand and not the co-prosecutor. Mr. President, may I please continue with my line of questioning and seek clarification from the civil party?
The President.
Merci, Monsieur.
Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Your Honors. I'm on my feet because I believe that the manner in which my esteemed colleague has replied to the co-prosecutor is inappropriate. I believe that all of the questions must be based on the original version. In fact, the defense has raised this issue on many an occasion. There are often discrepancies and problems with translation. When the translation suits their needs, they are quick to overlook such matters. And Counsel Guisset, Mr. President, I believe we're setting a bad precedent.
The President. Counsel for Mr. Keo Sampan, we still note that you, on every occasion, informed or reminded the party that when speaking, people should observe some pauses. But now, you did not even care to observe that pause immediately after the international co-prosecutor finished his speech. Then you started without allowing time for the interpreters to do that. And co-counsel for the civil parties was on her feet, and she finished her statement. Immediately, you intervened. So we believe that you would like to recommend that people should observe the pauses, but please be mindful that you yourself also need to observe the pauses. And when it comes to the document, indeed, the document here is available before us, and the civil party is before us today. And there is no need for a counsel who speaks French to rely heavily on the French rather than asking the colleague to verify the Khmer original text.
Oui, Monsieur le Président.
I'm sorry, Mr. President. Indeed, you are absolutely correct. I should have observed a pause before my colleague took the floor. Now, with respect to translation, it is abundantly clear that we work with our Khmer and English-speaking colleagues, and it's because I had highlighted a discrepancy between the Khmer and the French versions, and that is why I believe that the person who is in the best position to provide clarification is Mr. M. Un, and this is exactly why I had asked my question. And this is also the reason why I said that we were not adopting a proper procedure, because in citing document D22/3963, I had clearly indicated that I was relying on the French version. I think that this was perfectly clear. And when translation problems arise, I believe that it is in the courtroom that such problems be highlighted so that clarifications or corrections be made. If the French says one thing and the Khmer says another, I believe that for the sake of clarity of proceedings, we should elucidate such issues and bring a solution to them.
The President, the Chamber already ruled that the objection overruled the objection by the counsel for the civil party and the co-prosecutor. You indeed entitled to dwell on this if you wish.
Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Président. Je n'avais pas compris. C'est pour ça que...
Thank you, Mr. President. Perhaps I misunderstood, and that's why I was elaborating on my arguments. Returning to you, Mr. M. Un, you've understood that I've sought clarification from you. Now, at the time that Madame Leng Sai was arrested, did you also see her husband being arrested?
Response: to avoid any misleading information or confusion, I would like to elaborate that the statement that I said here was that Leng Sai was arrested in the hospital. Leng Sai was Mr. Tiêu Ol's wife, and she was stripped naked when she was tossed into the track. And the remainder of the statement is correct. Leng Sai was arrested alone. She was not arrested at the same time when her husband was arrested. I just said that Leng Sai was the wife of Mr. Tiêu Ol.
Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much, Mr. M. Un, for those specifications. And I believe that all parties, regardless of the language they speak, now have the correct version. Mr. M. Un, in response to a question put to you by the civil party lawyer, on the 23rd of August, just after 2:30 p.m., you provided an answer with respect to political sessions at Borikela. You said that such sessions were rather short. They lasted for anywhere between 1 week to 10 days, and they occurred every month or every 2 months. And in response to a question put to you by the co-prosecutor who was seeking some clarifications, you specified that you yourself had only participated in one single session. My question is, how were you made aware of the other sessions that you did not partake in?
Response. I was made aware of this because I met with people from the bases, and after they attended those training sessions, we would meet at the hospital during the course of our work, and we would just talk to one another about this.
Encore une fois, je voudrais que...
Once again, I would like for you to specify who from the base you had met at the time. Can you please provide us some names?
Response. I'm afraid it was a long time ago and I can't remember them all.
Je voudrais simplement avoir le nom de...
I simply wanted to know the names of those you had met with, names that you remembered.
Response. I'm afraid not, because there were a lot of things involved and a lot of people, so I can't remember any of them.
Très bien.
Very well. At the hearing of August 27, 2012, prior to 10:18 a.m., you responded to a question put to you by the co-prosecutor. I'll just repeat the question. This is what he asked you. Just to confirm that I have correctly understood what you said earlier, when you were at Borikela, was that the very first time that you saw Pol Pot, Nunchia Kyusampon, and other leaders? Your answer. That is correct. That was the first time I saw them. This is what you testified on the 27th of August 2012. Do you confirm that statement, sir?
Response. Yes, I do.
À l'audience,
at the hearing of the 23rd of August 2012, with respect to the leaders and with respect to Borikela, you stated just before 2:30 p.m. as follows. At the beginning, there were a few people on stage, and I only recognized a few. Among them were Nunchia Kyusampon and Ms. Leng Sai from Social Affairs. My question for you is this. If that was the first time that you saw the leaders, how was it possible for you to recognize them?
I stated earlier that they were introduced to the participants of the training session. It was from that time onward that I recognized them.
All right. During the training session, was Saupum from your zone present?
No, he was not.
Vous aviez un...
You said that you were attending the training session as the student leader, but that there were also district heads as well. Can you just make it clear to the chamber who the training was destined for? The one that you attended anyway, who was it being dispensed for?
Response. I have already stated in my earlier testimony, there were representatives from the district level in that political training, and the lowest level participants in those political trainings were from the head of district levels.
D'accord. Et les plus...
Very well. And who were the most senior people there?
Response. Are you referring to the participants or you are referring to the speakers at the event?
Je parle des...
I'm talking about the participants.
Council, the most senior participant, since this course was catered for the head of districts, then the district chief were called to attend the training. So the most senior participants were the head of the district level. So anyone who was the most senior at the district level would be invited to attend this training. But then there were participants from the zone and sector. And as for the line departments attached to the sectors, they call the committee of the sector or the zones committee members to participate in those political trainings.
Well, bearing that in mind, let me ask you, did you have a role in any particular district or sector or zone committee?
Response. When I was with the hospital of Sector 20, and if I were there, I would not be entitled to attend the training. But since I was sent to a Russian hospital to attend the medical training course, I was the student leaders at that time. That's why for that status, I was called to attend that political training.
Et en tant que
And as a student leader, did you bring along other people from your training class to that session?
Response. Among the students at Khmer Soviet Hospital, they called only the student leaders. We dare not go to attend any training at our own will. At that time, we had to be vigilant and in order to save our own life. So it had to be called upon in order to attend such training.
je voulais
You told the hearing that Mrs. Leng Sai from Social Affairs was attending the training session. Did she speak at it?
At that time, Leng Sai did not speak or address the students.
et pourtant
But if I understood what you told us on the 23rd of August, she was up there on the podium. Am I right?
She was on the stage representing the Khmer Soviet Hospital. She was not the speaker. At that time, she simply participated to observe because there were students from her hospital or from her ministry attended the training.
You said some students from the hospital were present. Are you telling me that you weren't the only one?
I was a student, so there were students. That's why she came to observe the participation of the student, and I did not mention that. I did not mention how many students there were.
Very well. A little earlier on, when I asked you if you came with other students, you got it wrong, or have I misunderstood?
The President. Civil party, please hold on. Prosecutor, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think the question is pointless. I believe that my colleague didn't understand just now when the civil party was saying that only the leaders were invited to the training session. There was already a plural there at that stage, so there were several student leaders present. We can always ask the civil party to clarify if you wish.
j'ai envie de dire que ce n'est
We can, of course, ask that, says Councillor Guisset, but it is to the civil party that we should put the question, and it is not up to the prosecution to be clarifying this for us, and that is why I'm asking the civil party to do so.
The civil party is instructed to respond to the question. Civil party, can you please repeat your last question?
Yes. Mr. M. Eun, you told us that Mrs. Leng Sai was there. at that training session there were students from her hospital. Now, previously I had asked you if there were other students from the hospital apart from yourself, and I understood you to be saying that you were the only one. So now I would like to know if, in fact, there were other students from the hospital with you, or if you were the only one.
Thank you. I will be brief in responding to this question. They only sent me to attend the training because I was the student leader, and Madame Lindsay was there as members of the presiding committee, and she was there. I did not know the reason why she was there. Probably she wanted to observe the student, or there were presence of other students.
Monsieur le Président.
Mr. President, that brings me to an end of my line of questioning. I believe that my colleague Kong Sam-eun may wish to bring up some other points. Mr. Emun, I'd like to thank you for your patience in answering my questions. That draws me to a close, Mr. President.
The President, thank you. Your national council is Kung Som-on, not Kung Som-eun. Council Kung Som-on. Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Eun, I am Council Kung Som-on. I have only a few questions to put to you. I want you to be released back to your home too. So first of all, I would like to ask you for your clarification on the civil parties information form you completed at the Documentation Center of Cambodia. According to the victim information form, as well as your testimony before the chamber, you indicated different dates and timelines. For example, you mentioned the disappearance of your father. At certain points you said that your father was executed on a date. For example, once you said that your father was executed in 1974 when he was brought away and then disappeared. And then later on you said you changed the date subsequently. So my question to you is, why did you come up with different dates? Is it because you have difficulty recalling those dates, or you are influenced by someone who may tell you to testify otherwise? Or, for example, somebody told you that the temporal jurisdiction of this court is between the 17th of April 1975 to the 6th of January 1979. And since you become later aware that the temporal jurisdiction of the court was during that entire period, and then you subsequently changed your answer, is that the reason for the subsequent changes of date in your testimony? Response. I have already mentioned the inconsistencies of the date, but the truth is the truth, because the story, the fact was there, but the date might be erroneous on my part. And I said in the court that when the statement was copied from one form to another, I asked for assistance from others who was very literate and knowledgeable. I asked them to copy the corresponding statements onto the form, and I did not actually follow up very thoroughly whether or not the dates were consistent with what I said. So I lack of vigilance on the copying of the statements. Actually, I only tell the truth, and what I can tell you before this court is also the truth. And I am a Buddhist, so I have to tell the truth. Counsel Kongsamon, thank you for your clarification. The reason why I am asking you for this clarification, because I know that the court needs accurate information, and we need to verify the veracity of your statement made in the victim information form with the assistance of Documentation Center of Cambodia. There might have been some changes, and if there was any consultations or advice or even influence from others that was not actually your own motivation to do so. And you said that you decided to pick up a certain date, for example, 1974, as the date when your father was brought away or executed. I would like to ask for clarification on this point. Was it your own understanding, or it was the exact date that you recall very clearly? Can you enlighten us on this? Response. There were some inconsistencies in the date, and I acknowledge that there were inconsistencies in the date. When I wrote down on the victim information form at the DC camps, the figures or the date came immediately to my mind. And then when I went back home, I thought over it again, what events took place before any other events. So the events were rather confused. For example, there were some example about the reason for my mother's death. My mother, earlier on I thought that my mother was dead because of the aerial bombardment by B-52 of the U.S. And then later on, when I went back home, I thought over it again, and I thought of the date when my father was arrested and brought away, and then I started to factor in all the information and the events that took place at the time. That's why I came up with subsequent dates concerning the execution of my father. Counsel Kongsamon, thank you for your clarification. I would like to now expand on the issue of aerial bombardment. You said that your mother died because she was shocked by the aerial bombardment at that time. Do you recall very clearly that it was the B-52 bombs that were dropped by the from the aerial space? Was that correct? Response. It was my understanding then that when there was aerial bombardment, and if you wanted to find out whether or not it was B-52, you could go and see at my hometown. There was still a big pond over there as a consequence of the B-52 bombardment, and we were all very terrified. My father was also terrified, and my mother was even terrified. So there were a lot of misery in our life back then, because we were constantly threatened by aerial bombardment, and the next morning my mother died. So it was a very grief-stricken moment in our life. Council, thank you. This is an important information. Could you tell the court the diameter of the pond as a result of the B-52 bombardment? I do not. I cannot tell the exact numbers of bombs, but in terms of craters, there were hundreds of craters, because the bombardment was in the form of carpet bombardments. It spread about kilometers diameter range, and the depths of the bombing, the bomb on any particular place would be up to 7 meters or even 10 meters deep. Council, thank you for clarification. So I would like now to move on to your role as the student leader at the Khmer Soviet Hospital during the Democratic Cambodia period. Can you tell the court what authorities or power was vested with you as the student leader back then?
No.
Response. At Sector 20, I had one important role. I was the head of technical section, and my main task was to train the medical staff at Sector 20, and then I was also a member of Youth League of the sector. Council, thank you. Just now, actually, I would like to know about your role and authority in your capacity as the student leader at the Khmer Soviet Hospital. Can you clarify or enlighten the court concerning your authority as a student leader? Were you vested with the power to impose any sanction on other students, for example? Response. I actually told the court already that I supervise the students. I look at their welfare, their study, and their livelihood over there. And as for the designation of certain tasks, I had to listen to the instruction by the hospital director. Without their authorization, I would not have any power to do anything with the student. Council, thank you. If I am not mistaken, your testimony earlier was that the students of your batch comprised of some 2,000. Is that correct? Response. I mentioned it twice. I said there were around 2,000 participants. Those were the participants in the political training session. But as for the medical student at the Khmer Soviet Hospital, there were approximately 1,000 of them. Counsel, thank you. I would like to now expand a bit further on this. You said there were approximately 1,000 students at the Khmer Soviet hospital. Was there only one student leader, and that person was you alone to lead the 1,000 students at the school? Response. There were three actually. There was one as the president, and the second one was the vice president, and the other one was member, but I do not recall their names. Counsel, thank you. I would like to now touch upon yourself when you were attending the political training session. Did you attend the political training course fully, or did you participate part of the political training sessions and you were absent on certain days throughout the course? Can you clarify on this? Response. At that time, I was supposed to attend the political training session for 7 days. But since I also had my responsibility to take care of the patients at the hospital, so the director of the hospital called me back to attend to the patient at the hospital. So all in all, I attended only 4 days of the 7-day political training course. Counsel, thank you. So is it fair to say that the political training course you attended at that time lasted for 7 days, and you actually attended only 4 days of the 7 days? Can you tell the court whether or not you attended the first 4 days, or those 4 days fall on the middle or at the last part of the training course?
Response. I attended during the first day of the session. Question. So this means that you attended the first 4 days of the training. Response. Yes, it is correct. question. I may wish to seek clarification on the transcript document D 22/3963, the statement you filled before the DC cam. You indicated that Mr. Nguyen Jie talked for about 3 days, and Mr. Kyo Sampan talked from the 4th or the 5th day of the training sessions. My question to you is, how did you know Mr. Kyo Sampan spoke in the session if you did not attend that session? The President, Civil Party, could you please hold on? International Court Prosecutor, you may now proceed.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, President. From what I heard in the translation, it would appear that the question was whether or not Kyo Sampan only spoke on the 5th day, whereas in the statement, the civil party stated that on the 4th and 5th day, I saw Kyo Sampan. I don't know if this is a translation or interpretation error, or if an error on the part of counsel, but at least in document D 223963, the civil party clearly states that he saw Kyo Sampan on the 4th and 5th day, so I would ask for counsel to clarify. Thank you, President.
Counsel Kong Sam-on. Thank you, Mr. Co-Prosecutor. I already stated very clearly, and I believe that the civil party would be the best person to respond to this to clarify things. The President, civil party, you may now respond to the question put by counsel for Mr. Kyo Sampan. Response. My apologies. I rely heavily on the truth, and I would like to once again apologize for not being able to recollect the facts in good sequences. Due to the lapse of time, I cannot recall this very well. Look, I am now 60 years old or so. Back then I was about 10 or below 20 years of age, and I had endured a lot of pain and suffering, so my memory has also been deteriorating, and please bear with me for this. Counsel Kong Sam-on, thank you for your clarification and explanation. My next question is, whom did you know who attended the training sessions and you still remember their names? Can you tell us how many people you still remember? Response. I'm afraid I don't understand your question very well. Could you do that again? You asked me whether I remember the students or the teachers, trainers. Question. I would like you to recollect the names of students who attend the political training sessions with you. Response. When I attended the training session, I did not know anyone in the session, let alone now. I remember only one person who was my uncle at Sector 20, Mr. Kung Sakun alias Toi, originally known as Mok, who was my uncle and the head of Sector 20. Counsel, thank you. Do you still remember other people from Sector 20 who attended that same training session? Response. No, I'm afraid not. Again, I still remember the only person who attended the training because he was my uncle. Counsel, thank you. Your uncle, Kung Suk Kun, is he alive? Response. No, he was executed by the Khmer Rouge because he was arrested and killed, perhaps in 1976, late 1976 or early 1977. Counsel, thank you. I would like now to go back to another point that was already once discussed concerning the aerial bombardments. You stated that your mother died of being shocked by the American aerial bombardment, and that to your recollection you remember the event to be in 1974. Could you confirm the contradictory the information about the death of your mother, in which you stated in document D22/3963 ERN in Khmer 0078 684. My apologies. Khmer ERN number again is 0057 3975. My apologies for having problem with this ER number because of the organization of the paper. English is Eon is 00751866. French ERN 00786184. I would like to read out this statement, the relevant portion to you, as follows. My mother was killed by Pol Pot during the year when my father was arrested and executed. I have problem reading from your writing. They were arrested from the pagoda, Prey Preh Smaung pagoda, when they were paying homage to the monks. Do you still stand by this statement, or can you confirm why the information is not consistent from time to time in your various testimonies? Response. I have to admit that the writing is mine. However, I wish to also remind the council that today is not different from yesterday. My memory is not fully good. And as I stated that my father was executed, he was arrested before being executed. I would like to read from my writing here. They were arrested from the pagoda. When it comes to the pagoda, I would like to apologize greatly on this because there was no pagoda back then, and because my memory did not serve me well, I made this mistake, which I sincerely apologize. Counsel, thank you. So, is it fair to say that you recant your statement in which you stated on document D22/3963 and that your mother died of shock as the result of the aerial bombardments by the Americans in 1974? Response. Yes, I confirm my position as you stated. Counsel, thank you, Mr. Civil Party. Thank you, Mr. President and Your Honors. We have no further questions. The President, thank you, Counsel. Thank you, Civil Party. Mr. Am Eun, your testimony has now come to a conclusion. However, before we conclude the session, the Chamber would like to offer you the opportunity so that you can express your harm, injuries, the harms that have been resulted from the crimes allegedly to have been committed, and that you also can claim for the collective and moral reparations from the crimes that allegedly committed by the accused before us in case file 002/1 falling in the phases 1 and phases 1 and 2 of the evacuation from 1975 to 1976. If you would like to do that, you can voice your concerns and you can be heard now. You may proceed. Civil Party. Thank you, Mr. President. Before I go to this, I would like to ask that I be allowed to elaborate in details, and please accept my apologies if I'm in this. The President, Mr. Civil Party, indeed you are now allowed to be heard, and you can talk to the chamber voicing your sufferings and grievance, things that you have suffered during the period of democratic Cambodia from the 17th of April 1975 through the 6th of January 1979. So your story could be confined to the damage that have been caused to you during this period of time. You may now proceed. Civil Party. Thank you, Mr. President. Before I speak, I would like to thank you, Mr. President, and your honors for this moment. I would like to say thank you again to the court that I have never imagined that this thing would happen to me, and I believe that the court here is very special and very good, that it is established to find justice for us. We see foreigners and Cambodian nationals who jointly work in the court, and I am very blessed, and I never imagined that I could be sitting here giving testimony before the chamber. Once again, I thank you very much to all the Cambodian people who come all the way to observe the proceedings in this court. And again, I would like to apologize for my statements. I know that I had a lot of problem speaking because I had sore throat. People could perceive that I was terrified or perhaps afraid to give testimony, but it was not the case. I had problem with the sore throat that I could not speak clearly. But please be reminded that I am here to tell the truth, and my statement is full of truth. I filed the civil party complaint to voice my concern and suffering, without which I could not have been given this opportunity to do so. I would like now to proceed as follows. Dear my fellow Cambodian citizen, I am now telling the truth about what happened to me, what I experienced. My experiences were not different from those who lived through the regime. And before I begin, I would like to also talk before the God. God could be our witness, my witness, and please forgive me if I am not really precisely clear in my statement, and I would like to proceed as follows. I never went to school. I had a lot of hardship and difficulties in my family. I had to support my family, and for that I did not have an opportunity to be educated. As in this statement, I wrote down the details of what I encountered. The President intervenes. Mr. Am Eun, you are now allowed to express your suffering, what you encountered during the regime, the harms, the damages you have during this period. So please limit your comment or statement to that confined area. You are not allowed to beat about the bush. Now you have 5 more minutes to go straight to the point. If you do not wish to make any statement on this, you also can say so. I mean, it is your right not to do that as well. Civil Party, thank you, Mr. President. To cut short, I have no more idea. The President, thank you, Mr. Am Eun. Your testimony sessions now come to an end. You are now excused. You can feel free to go back home or to places where you wish to go, and the Chamber would like to thank you very much indeed for your time and effort, patience in providing your testimony during the last few days. We believe that your statement or testimony would also be helping the court to find justice and the truth. Court officer is now instructed to assist the civil party so that he can be properly returned home safe and sound. Mr. Am Eun, you may feel free to leave the courtroom now. The next session will be the session on TCW 480. The questions to be put by the prosecution. Now it is an appropriate moment for the morning adjournment. The Chamber will adjourn for 20 minutes. The next session will be resumed by 10 to 11. The court is adjourned.
សូមអញ្ជើញក្រោកឈរ